Welcome back to Shots Don't Miss. Today, we have the big question. Is Holden Caulfield a hypocrite, a truth teller, or both? Our argument is simple, and we will show you exactly how Holden is a hypocrite. Throughout the book, there are plenty of instances in which Holden shows his hypocrisy. To start, Holden claims to be the most terrific liar, as said by himself, "I'm the most terrific liar you ever saw in your life." This might not look like hypocrisy, but throughout the novel, he claims to hate phonies. An example is when Holden shows his lying capabilities on a train with one of his distant classmates' mom. He lies about her son and pretends to be someone he's not. He says he is close friends with her son. Holden establishes a fake name and talks about how great of a person her son really is. This moment shows only one moment in which Holden is pretending to be someone he is not, while calling everyone else phonies and fake. But this isn't the only time Holden shows hypocrisy in the story. Holden claims to be a pacifist, but provokes a fight with his classmate, Stradlater, as seen here when Holden states, "You never saw a gore in your life. I had blood all over my mouth and chin, and even on my pajamas and bathrobe. It partly scared me, and it partly fascinated me. All that blood and all sort of made me look tough. I'd only been in about 2 fights in my life, and I lost both of them. I'm not too tough. I'm a pacifist, if you want to know the truth." Holden narrates this violent scene and makes it sound as if he's an action star within a movie. But immediately after, though, he contradicts himself and says he is actually a pacifist. These words from him portray him as brave, but as soon as things get too real, he turns into a coward, being all bark but no bite. Hey listeners, before we dive back into Holden's chaotic world, a quick word from absolutely nobody sponsoring us. But imagine if your headphones came with a pause button for life drama. That's right, just a tap, and all the phonies vanish. Until you hit play again. Okay, enough dreaming. Let's get back to the story.
And welcome back, everyone, to your favorite weekly audio essay. And speaking of phonies, let's get back to the biggest of them all, Holden Caulfield, the biggest hypocrite. Holden claims that he doesn't like movies, which is kind of hypocritical, as he treats his life like one. He at first mentions he hates movies when he tells the reader at the beginning of the novel, "If there's one thing I hate, it's the movies. Don't ever mention them to me." Salinger, page 4. But then narrates his inner dialogue with his fight with Stradlater as a movie, and he makes movie-like scenarios in his head all the time. As a further example, being when Holden is sitting in the hotel bathtub after getting beat up by Morris, planning his reprisal. In his head, it was like, "But I'd plug him anyway. 6 shots right through his fat, hairy belly. Then I'd throw my automatic down the elevator shaft after I'd wiped off all the fingerprints and all. Then I'd crawl back to my room and call up Jane and have her come over and bandage up my guts. I pictured her holding a cigarette for me to smoke while I was bleeding and all. The goddamn movies, they can ruin you. I'm not kidding." That was Salinger 136. Holden at first criticizes movies themselves as corrupting and wicked, but his imagination steams from the very dramatic and violent imagery that comes from the movies. He tells the readers to not be influenced by movies while doing the very thing he claims to despise. But listen up, we got bigger fish to fry. The title of the book, Catcher in the Rye, what Holden claims to be, kinda might not be right. Because throughout the whole book, he rarely tries to protect innocence. He was always talking about innocence and protecting it from young children, but then smokes, drinks, curses, lies, and expresses his sexual and inappropriate desires. So you tell me, is this a catcher in the rye or just a bunch of phony nonsense? After all this is presented, how could anybody say that Holden isn't a hypocrite? I mean, you've got to be reading a much different book if you see it differently, and as a truth teller. So, if Holden is so quick to judge others while breaking his own rules, the real question we are left with is, are we really different when we criticize the world we fail to live up to our own ideals? Alright, that's a wrap for today on Shots Don't Miss. Remember, Whether it's taking shots, making moves, or chasing ideas, we never miss. Stay tuned, stay sharp, and keep hitting your mark. Catch you next time on Shots Don't Miss with your hosts, Lord Gashi and Alex Udrega.